Hi, I'm Matt,
And I'm Jess.
and I can't believe you haven't seen Boogie Nights.
On keeping in our tradition, I have now.
You've seen a lot now that you've seen this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be seen in this movie.
Some real, some not real.
Some prosthetics, yeah.
Well, you know, there's
Some wigs.
There's a lot going on in the San Fernando Valley in 1977.
Yeah, the 70s into the 80s. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. So, welcome back to I Can't Believe You Haven't Seen with Jess and Matt for episode 22.
Wild.
Yeah, going into a movie that I think, on the list. I've had it for over a year since we started the podcast.
I was going to say, it's like from day 2, probably.
Yeah.
We need to watch this.
I know. And as soon as we decided we wanted to watch it or do the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, this has got to be one that goes on the list. So
I don't know what you mean. I have very little to talk about.
Yes, very little. It's going to be our shortest episode yet. Probably under an hour.
It's done, actually.
Yeah, that's it. We're talking about 1997's Boogie Nights today. The second film written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, it's very much a PTA film.
Very much. He was still in his late 20s, I think, when he made this one.
That tracks.
But yeah, second film of his. For the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about everybody that's in the cast, because this is a massive ensemble movie.
Oh, I was like, I hope not.
No.
But no, I got you.
It is starring Mark Wahlberg in probably the movie that made him the a next level of big star.
You mean New Kids on the Block didn't do it?
Well, that's his brother Donnie.
Right, I got the wrong Wahlberg for New Kids.
He was involved
take away my
with,
millennial
He
card.
was involved with the Funky Bunch.
Right, he is the Marky Mark of the Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
But
I knew that.
He'd been in a few movies before this, but this one kind of took him to another level. Also, we have Burt Reynolds, Julianne Moore, Heather Graham, John C. Reilly, Don Cheadle, Robert Ridgely, who played the Colonel, who actually, unfortunately, passed away before the movie came out.
Oh, that's too bad.
Nicole Ari Parker, William H. Macy, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm going to cut myself off there, but I could have put 7 more people on there that you would have known.
As I said this when it was happening, I out loud, I was like, does everybody in this movie have 3 names?
Yeah, it is kind of one of those.
Philip Seymour Hoffman,
John C.
Reilly, William H. Macy.
And there's also Philip Baker Hall, who plays a small role. There is quite a few people. Thomas Jane's in it. He doesn't have a third name.
Burt T. Reynolds. Burt the Reynolds. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's a quite the ensemble
crazy cast. And even some people that were in it. At this point in time, there were quite a few of them that weren't the names they are now. So this is a fun movie to sort of chart the course of several people's careers.
That's very fair.
This also was early on in Paul Thomas Anderson's career, with him just fresh off winning a whole bunch of awards at the most recent Oscars. This was his first time getting an Oscar nomination for this film. He got a nomination for Best Original Screenplay. And there are 2 of the actors that got supporting nominations. I'm actually going to cover my phone up. Who do you think got supporting nominations for this movie?
Well, you don't have to cover your phone. I can't see it.
That's fair.
Good question. Supporting actor.
So, 1 actor, 1 actress.
Okay. Supporting actress, I'm going to go Heather Graham.
Okay.
Supporting actor, I'm going to go John C. Reilly.
Interesting. You are wrong on both counts.
I assumed when you said interesting with that tone.
It was Julianne Moore.
Oh, see, I wasn't thinking supporting actor for her, but that's fair.
And Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Burt, yes. Julianne, I would have considered not supporting. I guess she is, but I wouldn't have.
That's fair. There's probably not a lead actress.
It's a tough one because it's such an ensemble movie that, short of our good friend Marky Mark, it's not really a.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of leads.
No,
totally. And even then, for a movie that has an ostensibly a a lead actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a lot of stuff, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like it's all a movie about him. He's the main protagonist, but it's not a movie about him.
Yeah, it's like a lot of other PTA movies, like where there is a main, but then it's like, well, who is the co-lead, who is the supporting?
Now, tell me, did PTA ever win an Oscar?
Well, only recently. That's actually not true. He's been nominated a bunch of times, but yes, he's now obviously a big deal. None of them won any Oscars.
That's what I said.
I'm a little surprised actually that one of them didn't, being the one that won the Golden Globe, which was Burt Reynolds, who won Best Supporting Actor at the Globes. Julianne Moore was also nominated there as well. This is a pretty, like, I don't know how you would classify this movie, because it wasn't like a major awarded movie. It isn't one that necessarily has like a whole bunch of like, sight and sound poll things or AFI lists, notable things like that. But it's this is a pretty huge movie, especially because Paul Thomas Anderson's become a pretty big deal.
Again, I can't imagine what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is kind of the one that puts him on the map and gets, like I said, a lot of these actors sort of kind of get a huge boost from this movie, doing other PTA movies going forward and everything else. And there is definitely a lot to talk about, because it is a well-loved movie, and it's been around for 30 years now, so it is quite fun to actually sit and talk to you about it. I actually wanted to ask you this, and I think we've had this conversation maybe after we watched One Battle After Another.
One thing after another, as I kept calling it, yeah.
So obviously, because we've seen that, this isn't your first Paul Thomas Anderson
Correct.
movie. I was trying to, in my head, go back. I think you've talked about having seen There Will Be Blood.
Oh, I've absolutely seen There Will Be Blood, yes.
Okay. We haven't got a chance to watch Licorice Pizza yet.
We have not. I'm just going to do a real quick look at his filmography to save ourselves this adventure.
Yeah. The only other one I can think of as you're looking up that you might have seen is Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love I've seen Punch Drunk Love. I've seen There Will Be Blood. I've seen Inherent Vice, actually.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is not a movie I would have picked for you to have watched.
Don't know why. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, that does not feel correct.
Okay.
But that's probably the doctor we reference constantly. It's probably his fault.
It could be his fault.
Licorice Pizza we have not watched. It's funny to me the number of movies that are like things you've watched after I've gone to bed.
Yeah.
Like since we've been together. It's not all movies from prior to our relationship.
No, but that is things that happen.
Yes,
sure.
Punch Drunk Love, because that came out when I was in like
high school.
Not even, like, just barely into high school. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then There Will Be Blood is obviously, I mean, it's There Will Be Blood. It's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Big deal. So
kind of a big
yeah.
thing.
So as is tradition, I get to hand the reins over to you. Direct away.
Well, as is tradition, I had a lot of thoughts.
Oh, this might be our longest segment of this, maybe.
And welcome to everybody's favorite segment, i.e. my favorite segment. Jess has thoughts while the movie happens.
Yeah.
It's like a live tweet situation. Here we go. Audio jump scare.
And I warned you, too.
I know, but I'm jumpy as fuck. What is this wig Mark's got going? Question mark. Honey Tits is a terrible nickname.
Not the last time we're going to have a terrible nickname.
Yeah. All the women in this movie just really love their husbands. Huh? Yeah. Everyone's blessed with one special thing. My God, a large penis is not a personality. Jack wants to make a porn with soul.
Yep.
And I have soul in caps because that made me laugh.
I feel like you said that with jazz hands.
I did a little bit, actually. The colonel arrived with a child. No one seems concerned about this. And they're really not concerned when she ODs. Cool. Mm-hmm. Read great poetry. Take that to slams.
Now, that one's even funnier because for anybody that doesn't know, you compete in slam poetry and write poetry just as a thing.
I am a poet, yes.
Going down the sugar tree.
I was cackling because
so bad.
I hope he takes it to open mics. Eddie asked for consent from Amber. I bet that was new. The Adult Film Awards are a wild concept.
Yeah.
That said, I think there actually are those.
I think they're real. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a real thing.
Yeah. Floyd Gondolier and his merry band of children.
Gondolier, that's probably your autocorrect. It's gondoli.
Oh, yes, absolutely, which makes it even better. Floyd Gondoli and his merry band of children.
Yeah.
Amendment. Amber might be a problem mother because of her small coke addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I have a note earlier about how I don't think it's fair that she's being punished. Mm-hmm. No, I think maybe it is, actually. Never make a movie on tape. Interesting.
Yeah.
I said, oh, that's cool. I just like the simple things, like butter in my ass and lollipops in my mouth.
It's like an all-time line. That is such a fucking singularly funny line.
My note says, pardon? Question mark. Scotty trying to kiss Dirk and then blaming the alcohol. Is he okay? Oh no, being in love with a boy would have been rough. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Reed and his magic. Nothing further, Your Honor. That's the whole note there. Yeah. The whole pronunciation of karate fucking did me in the whole time. The Colonel has another child die from a coke overdose. Chill. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I sense a pattern emerging, Colonel.
Dirk's dick is sad from coke. The irony of him not being able to sing on key, but he's a Wahlberg.
We're gonna come back to that at some point.
Yeah. I imagine. It just made me laugh really hard. The YPMP, which brings me so much joy because we use that in regular life all the time. I think those were the best. Like, how does everyone end up dead in this robbery all of a sudden? Which we will come back to.
Yeah.
But I did say, hey, blood money equals problem solved. Good news, Rahad. Streaming happens eventually, and you can pick the order you want to listen to shit. Get ready for Spotify, my man.
I don't think Rahad lived to see
streaming. No, he took a firecracker to the face. That's what happened to Rahad. It's cool to see how everything's changed. Yay. And then my last note here is the 80s really started with a bang.
Yes.
Lol.
Thanks for coming. That's all there is.
Yeah, I told you it was gonna be short. It's my condensed thoughts. Sometimes I make myself laugh when I go back and read these because it's like very clearly the thought I'm having in the moment. Yeah. Like sometimes but I was like, oh, Gondoli and his merry band of children. Like what the hell? Yeah. So there's a lot of things I feel like we need to talk about here. I don't want to go through the whole plot because that's not beneficial. I don't love when we do plot summaries in this.
No, that's true.
Just watch the movie.
Yeah, and I think enough people have seen this movie. Sometimes I do it with one like Norma Ray, where I'm like, people might not have seen this as much, but
Norma Ray needed a plot summary because you can't get your hands on the movie.
That's true. Boogie Nights is one that people would like look twice to go like actually.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so one, I had audio jump scare. I do want to talk about the sound in this movie. I'm just going to start there because audio jump scare just about did me in the beginning. So for those of you who don't know this, I'm really jumpy. Like jumpy as fuck. There is no way around how jumpy I am as a person. And it's just the nature of life. Matt has to warn me if there's going to be loud sounds in the kitchen so that I don't climb out of my skin.
I did it tonight.
You did, while searing a steak specifically. And so he warned me. I was prepared, and yet it cuts to the roller club immediately.
Yeah, to the hot tracks.
It opens on hot tracks, and I jumped out of my skin. So if that's not a great indication of how this whole movie's gonna go, I don't know what is. But the sound in the soundtrack is really well done. I think sound-wise is okay. Yeah. Like, sound is fine. The soundtrack is really well done.
Oh, my God.
It has to be, because this is a movie set in the 70s into the 80s. Yeah. And it's such an iconic time. We just talked about the 70s with Norma Ray. It's such an iconic time for things like music.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And such a cultural zeitgeist that if you don't do the music right, this movie doesn't work. Also, you can't call a movie Boogie Nights and do a bad job with the music. Yeah. You just can't. Yeah. The needle drop on this is really good.
It's so good. And it just opens with, and I'm trying to even think what the first song it opens into. But it's like a disco song. So it starts with the horn blast and I'll look it up at some point because I have it in there.
Wasn't You My Little Boo Thing, which is the current Instagram, TikTok version of that song.
Yeah, but like this is, Paul Thomas Anderson, through this movie kind of became known as like the next heir to the throne that probably Martin Scorsese had for needle drops in movies.
Fair enough. Yeah, I could see that.
Tarantino does it as well, but I think Tarantino does it a little more with like I'm pulling a song that very likely you don't know. And Paul Thomas Anderson is like, I'm probably pulling a song that you know,
but
or like you forgot
about.
you knew.
Yeah.
And in Boogie Nights, it uses it to mark time perfectly. This is one of the all-time great soundtracks ever in movies. Like if you line up like the soundtrack album and then the songs that they don't use that aren't on the album, it's like the best road trip playlist ever.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Tarantino's good at it. I just struggle with Tarantino as a director for moral reasons. It's fine. We don't have to talk about that right now. I struggle to watch those things. Okay, back at her. So this is a movie about porn in the 70s.
Yes.
This is a movie about the making of pornographic films that are actually shown in a theater.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way to look at it from somebody like me, or you even. I think we are the generation that remembers actual porn magazines and having to get videos. Like I mentioned on this podcast on more than one occasion, I worked at a video rental store / convenience store when I was in high school.
Yeah.
We absolutely had the like white cover adult movies that were on the very top row.
Yeah, ours had a back room that you needed a key to get into.
Yeah, we had that in one of the other stores, but not in the one I worked at. Also, renting porn to your neighbor's dad, real weird.
Oh, yeah.
It was a weird time for me.
No kidding.
Nothing like being 17. Anyway, so it was a thing where you still had to have like a physical copy of the thing, right?
Yeah.
And to watch how that's morphed into... it morphed into the U-porns and the red tubes and the whatever the hell else is on the internet. Yeah. And now this kind of moved to, like, OnlyFans and this attempt to sort of take back the power.
The privatization
of it again. I find that sort of circle really interesting in comparison to this movie.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to make... It almost feels like OnlyFans is a bit of a return to this attempt to like make a good film, quote unquote. And I have a joke, my line about Jack wants to make porn with soul, but he's very clearly trying to make films that just so happen to lead into banging a dude on the counter. I was gonna say the printer, but probably not at that point.
Yeah.
So it's almost, it hasn't come full circle, obviously, because it's still widely available on the internet in the way this necessarily wasn't. But the people making this have the power over what's being made. And I think this sort of return to OnlyFans, and that includes the money, is a similar idea. Now, that said, I want to be very clear. OnlyFans is incredibly problematic, not for existing, but in the ways that people can use that to exploit others. And absolutely. It's gross. If anyone's interested, I very rarely do I reference other podcasts in this movie, in this podcast, but there is one called The Dating Detectives. It is found anywhere you can listen to podcasts, and they have an episode about a woman who was manipulated by her partner into doing OnlyFans. Yeah. And it's incredible. Absolutely go listen to it. But yeah.
It's an interesting point because this, the movie is a very, I guess at the beginning, somewhat of an idyllic take on the porn industry.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you have, all of the people in sort of like Jack, which is Burt Reynolds' character, his like stable of workers. And not only does he have like people for in front of the camera, he has the same cameraman. Like Ricky Jay is always the person there. It's always William H. Macy producing the
Small
shoot.
Bill.
It's it's always
Scotty
Philip Seymour Hoffman, Scotty. Yeah. Like they always have the same people behind the camera, and it's always set up a little bit like a family, which is what the whole movie kind of sets it up as. It's like everybody knows each other, everybody hangs out with each other, like they're doing this very taboo thing. But you're right, it's like they have their people and they're comfortable with their people. people are respectful to each other. It's like a friendship or a family, and you have your ups and downs with a family and everything. But it's not like the exploitative part of it isn't really there, or you don't feel it until a little bit later in the movie when there's some other changes that are going on with their industry and their stable of people.
Well, and it almost feels like the exploitative part, and it is exploitative, of course, but it doesn't feel like that happens until it becomes about the money, right? Which isn't that capitalism. One of the things I will say, you said family, this is a good jumping off point for that. Yeah. So this is a film about film in a way.
Very much so.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because you don't often think of, especially again, in our generation, we don't think of porn as being like, oh, a film.
No.
But it was
Very
in this
much.
case. Now,
Yeah.
again, idyllic and probably a bit of an oversimplification of what's actually happening, but an interesting take nevertheless.
Totally. And this almost, if you watch something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's almost the same thing where it's like you have people involved in the film industry. And the like idealizing of like Rick Dalton doing, oh, it used to be this way and nobody wants to take me seriously. And this is like, it starts from the happy times and then it gets bad and they reminisce later about like, so it's very much this like, boy, we really used to make proper movies in this country, and then we slide away from it. Right?
Yeah, well, and it's a film about making film in a way too, because there's this, well, you can't record anything to tape because they're doing it's a full film setup, right? The cameraman, they stop the shots, they do them over and over, they talk about it, there's actual conversation about their lines and their acting and all these things. And then when it becomes Rock Harder, I believe is that man's the replacement for Dirk.
Yeah, I think that's the movie they make.
Yeah, it's great. He's great. What a great movie.
The names are just fantastic.
They're fantastic. When that movie gets made and they're making it on tape, it suddenly has a lot less to do with any of the sort of, I hate using this word in relation to pornographic films, but like the magic of filmmaking. Yeah,
and I don't have a real large knowledge of the history of pornography like certain other people might, or like have context for it.
You don't? I'm
but
shocked.
Like there was a legitimate thing in the 70s where like movies like Debbie Does Dallas was a legitimate like sensation in America. Like people were like going to the theaters in droves to see like that, and like Deep Throat, and these movies that were like, they were pornographic films but in the cultural zeitgeist.
We use that term a lot in the last couple of episodes.
But it's like, it is that like, yeah, these were, you know, films that likely cost even more than other low budget films that were just having national distribution in some places. Like if you were to watch like I couldn't think of a 70s movie off the top of the head, but like something low budget 70s would have been in thousands of theaters and cost less money than Deep Throat probably did. Yeah. It's
and when this movie's made in 96.
97 came out in 97, shot in 96.
Okay, so this is 30 years old, but it's set like 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
The audience watching this in the 90s would have had a very different experience than you and I do, because porn then was still Playboy stashed under the mattress or in boxes upstairs in the attic sort of thing.
And on videotape.
And on videotape.
Yeah.
Right? So this thing that they're talking about in this movie and how it's ruining everything is the only way that some of those folks would have known how to get their hands on it, and then rent it from the 17-year-old at the corner store. Anyway, good times. So that's my feeling about that. I guess I should mention the main character, because we talked about him. So Marky Mark, and his funky bunch.
Well, yeah.
There it is.
That's.
You're welcome. I will say nothing further.
Funky bunch of one.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming there were balls involved, so.
Oh, probably.
I'm going to call that the funky bunch. Hilariously. Okay, so back this up. He's a 17-year-old working in this club. So this movie opens on this club, and it becomes clear that Jack and Amber are like big deals. So they get into the club, and we haven't seen you in so long. Well, we've been traveling, yada yada. And, like, the audience gets to know that they're a big deal, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
And it's not until Jack meanders back in Burt Reynolds, for those of you paying attention, meanders into the kitchen and sees the 17-year-old Eddie.
Yeah.
Doing dishes.
Yeah.
And he's definitely got the word about Eddie.
Yeah, there's something in the, like, they have a look before Eddie goes back, like, he's picking up dishes out of, or, like, bussing tables. And he's, like, Eddie's looking around and, like, locks eyes with Burt Reynolds at one point. And then shortly after that's when he like, I'm gonna go find this kid. Like,
yeah, and it's clear he's 17.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And Roller Girl, who does not get a name for much of this movie, other than Roller Girl, is also quite young.
Yeah.
She's in high school.
Yep.
You later find out. And so it's this... It becomes clear that Jack's looking for his next people for his films, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't know that at first. So he wanders back there. There's obviously a moment. He knows he should be going to look for this kid. And he gets there and Eddie says, essentially, do you want to look at it? It's $5. Do you want to see me jack off? It's 10.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So then you learn that Eddie's one gift is his massive schlong.
Yes. Which is told in both funny and, like, different ways every time, which is kind of great.
Yeah.
Like, it's all told in looks and reactions, which just works very well.
All the way through this movie.
Yeah.
It's about his massive dick.
Yeah.
And how that's gonna win all the things, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's how he ends up in porn.
Yeah.
Essentially is that.
And I think you get a bit of a glimpse, like, later on after that scene when he goes home and you find out that Eddie, like, he lives an incredibly long ways away in an entirely different part of LA. And his mom is like, why don't you work somewhere closer? Why do you go all the way to, I think it's Reseda? And it's like, why do you go out there? And later on when he's, like, with his girlfriend and he's like, I plan on being a star, and you immediately, he kind of is like, yeah, I don't know why I want to work there, I just have to. Very clearly, it's like, I know I want to get into porn, and this is where they hang out.
Yeah, I know where these people go. I'm going to be in that club so they can find me.
Yeah.
I suspect Roller Girl is much the same.
Potentially. We don't get as much of her backstory as to how she got into it.
No, I just... I have theories, but in any event, so Eddie becomes the newest member of the family.
Yeah.
And he has to pick a good porn name. So he decides on Dirk Diggler.
The Diggler.
I can't hear it otherwise.
This is a shout out to a friend of ours who has coined anybody that has a name anywhere similar to that, which links to a Major League Baseball player named Dylan Dingler.
Yeah, I don't think it started there, but they're wonderful, so shout out, hello.
Yeah, the Dingler.
I can't not. Anyway, in any event, he picks this new name, he's part of the family, it's all going to be well and good.
Yeah.
And from there basically starts his porn career.
Yeah.
And starts making a lot of money. And it's interesting, a lot of money for him at the time. There's obviously a lot of money involved in this industry. Yeah. And I think Dirk, I'm just going to call him Dirk from now on.
Yeah.
The Diggler. It's clear when you see his home life that he knows he's using this porn film to get out of there.
Yeah.
And then he could become a legitimate film star, quote unquote, in these sort of movies based on what we just talked about. It's also clear that his home life is shitty.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's easy for him to become part of another family.
Yeah, that's like way more accepting.
And somehow more functional.
Yeah.
Because his mom has clearly got mental health issues and or is an alcoholic or both. And like her husband, his dad goes to kiss her on the cheek and she basically screams at him.
Yeah.
And then he's gone after the first time he meets the family.
Yeah.
He goes and has this audition essentially with him and Roller Girl fucking on the couch.
Yeah.
And Jack's just watching and I was like, this is such a like such a surreal moment, but I'm sure probably what had to happen would give something. There's something to be said about the casting couch in this, I guess.
I'm fairly certain that the whole idea of the casting couch, even though it preceded, the 70s porn industry, it probably took on a whole life of its own with that.
Yeah, gross. So in any event, we have this, scene where they do this and Jack basically says, come back. Right, you're gonna be a star, kid. He doesn't say that at all, but so this is the moment that I think Eddie's been waiting for. And when he gets home, he's been out most of the night because the club closed down and he went after that. So you can imagine it's quite late.
Yeah,
cell phones don't exist, so you can't text your mom, and they can't follow your location. So he gets home and his mom is still awake. And instead of being what you sort of expect, which is this like I'm so apologetic mom, or like I'm worried mom, not apologetic.
Yeah.
No, she's just fucking furious.
Yes.
Loses her shit, tells him he's stupid, calls him names, and he leaves and never goes back.
Yeah, that scene and the stuff with like, so his mom's played by a woman named Joanna Gleason, who's been in a bunch of, so she's been an actress for years and years. She's married to a guy named Chris Sarandon, who's also an actor who's been in like Princess Bride. Like she is in a small amount of scenes is just excellent at just being this like hag of a mother that you don't have any context to, but she is like so beyond like having any patience for her husband and her son, and like just basically goes in straight into calling him like, you are too stupid to do anything. Yeah. Like, and there, that there's a whole backstory in here that we're not given. And, her husband, Eddie's dad, is pretty much feels like he's shell-shocked. And there's that, when that argument's happening, it's a scene with no words where they're just arguing in the background. And
it cuts to his dad.
And it just shows that his dad just like still awake, not saying anything, sitting on the edge of the bed, just despondent. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, this man's got a hard life.
He had like 3 lines and delivered like a movie's worth of character development with almost nothing.
Yeah, you get very little of this family, but you get a lot of this family at the same time. Mm-hmm. Also, the fact that his mom jumps to calling his girlfriend a whore.
Oh, immediately.
Repeatedly as well. Says a lot about where her mind is at and what a terrible person she is. So essentially she chases him away. He was planning to do porn anyway, but now he's part of this new family.
Yeah.
The dynamics are weird.
the dynamics are both weird and normal at the same time.
And yet somehow like more accepting than the place he's coming from, right? So that's interesting. I think you see it in Amber and Roller Girl later in the film when they're just snorting coke together, and she says, well, I'm your mother.
Yeah.
And at varying points through the film, Amber also calls herself Dirk's mom and says that he's her baby boy, which is an interestingly misplaced Oedipus situation.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into Amber in a little more detail.
We shall, point. We'll talk about the women, and of course we will. It's me. Mm-hmm. But she does that, and after the big fallout, because Dirk does get in, as was a tradition in the 70s and 80s, Reed and Dirk and their buddy Todd get into a lot of coke, and there's a whole thing, and Dirk, has the classic "I'm too big for this" bullshit at his director, which no. So I'm too big of a film star, you need me, flares out, leaves, gets into all sorts of weird shit. And when he comes back and hugs him, it's very much this father-son moment. So it's interesting to see the way that family works here.
Very much. Yeah, this is, interestingly enough, despite the subject matter, if you were to describe this as a movie about family and show business, you wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah, it is, really, I think. So in that way, one of the things that I think we talk about in show business in general is this push for youth. So Eddie's only 17 when Jack discovers him. Roller Girl is in high school. Whether she's 17 or 18, we don't know.
Yeah.
They're not old.
No.
And all of the other folks, Amber is the oldest who appears on screen.
Yeah.
She's probably in her 30s or 40s.
I'm probably early 30s at her oldest.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Becky, same. Buck, same. Reed, young.
Yeah.
Like, they're all young folks.
Yeah.
Dirk and Roller Girl, the youngest of the bunch.
Yeah.
However...
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's almost, I probably haven't thought about this I've watched this movie many, many times. One thing I thought of watching it this time around is that there, the whole, Eddie is 17 type of thing, and Burt Reynolds finds that out. And at that point, he's sort of like, okay, I'm going to ask him some questions. What do you want to be? Da-da-da. And he kind of is cagey about it because he's like, I need to be cagey about this because he's 17.
Yeah.
And you kind of get this impression when it's like, okay, I think I know what's going on here. While they're still in the club, I'm going to send Heather Graham. I'm going to send Roller Girl to go find him. And in my head, I'm like, oh, that makes me think she's maybe also 17 because this is how we can really find things out.
Yeah.
And that's why when they go back to the house, it's not, oh, I'm going to audition. So I'm going to audition with Amber because she's older. No, I'm going to audition with Roller Girl because if something doesn't go wrong, I don't want to get in trouble with the law.
Yeah, if something goes awry here, they're both underage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of where the family thing falls apart for me because it's clear that there's a push for youth. I will say Burt Reynolds' character, as a director, wants to make good film, and that's the thing he cares the most about.
Yeah.
But he's obviously looking for youth in addition to his honey tits, is what he calls Amber. Love that as a nickname, as mentioned. Big fan. And I think that gets multiplied the higher up you go and the more money is involved. Mm-hmm. So Jack gets these two 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
The Colonel comes in with a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Because you later find out she's 16.
Well, maybe. That might be a different story that he's talking about there. But I think you're probably not wrong in the range there.
There's a line when he shows up at the party about that girl can't be more than 16. So whether he says it or not, somebody has identified this girl as being under 18 for sure.
Yeah.
And she ends up ODing by snorting too much coke at this party. But the Colonel does that. Then the Colonel gets arrested, which is where everything starts to go off the rails for the filmmaking portion of this, because he can no longer fund the movie. Yeah. And so it's no longer a film. Now it's being recorded on tape because our good friend that I called the very wrong thing.
Floyd Gondoli.
Floyd. I'm just going to call him Floyd.
Yeah.
Because Floyd is now pulling the strings.
He's the bankroll now.
He's the bankroll now, and he wants us to be, we're making more money. So the Colonel gets arrested because he has another child bride.
Yeah.
He has another young, I'm not going to say young woman. He has another child. Yeah. It's a girl in his home. And, I like them young, essentially, and she also dies from a cocaine overdose.
So she has a cocaine overdose. She either dies or something very serious. But, the reason he gets arrested...
It's not that. It's what they find in his home when they arrest him.
So he's basically arrested for child pornography.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, gross. Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to Floyd, and Floyd walks in. I mean, it doesn't cut to Floyd. This is probably earlier, but Floyd's pushing for these are the next round.
Yeah, it's at the 1980s
kind of in
New
the
Year's party.
Middle, in the New Year's party, when he's talking about we need to move to tape, and the Colonel hasn't been arrested yet. But the three of them, so Jack, the Colonel, and Floyd, have this meeting, and Floyd's talking about tape, and he's arrived with a bunch of his merry band of children. They're all children. Yeah. This push to look more youthful, and this that's an ongoing thing in every aspect of media. Yeah. But there was a specific sort of aesthetic of the 70s, and that really kind of gross, even in advertisements and things, when I think about what I know of, the film industry, the advertising industry, all of that in the 70s, it is icky. And that's very, I think, apropos of when this is set. But it's clear the further we get into this movie, the younger and younger the kids are getting.
Yeah, and the more one thing Floyd says when he introduces the two guys and the two girls he comes with, that like they're younger than everybody else that's there. I don't necessarily know that there's an implication that they're underage, like there is very specifically with others. But he also says, like, these are the next stars. These are the real people in the world, because they don't look glamorous like everybody else does. They're, like, young and attractive, but also look more normal. And that's part of his argument of moving to, like, videotape, is like people want to see the real thing. They don't want to see the dolled up whatever, which is very much what Jack is shooting when he's shooting on film. And even with the stars that he has, like they're all very much done up, very highly stylized hair, makeup, clothing.
It's
like,
that kind of push to how we end up with OnlyFans, right? That's that. It's just an interesting sort of thing, but I don't necessarily want to talk about it too much at length. It's disgusting. Children should never be involved. Yeah. The concept of underage woman is disgusting. She's a child. Yeah. Listen, in the world in which we currently exist, where the files haven't been released, release the files. Yeah. Will we get doxxed if I say that? Like, are we gonna get pulled if I say the Epstein files? We won't get doxxed.
You can go right ahead.
Yeah. Release the Epstein files. We know that there is ostensibly we know that there's an alleged pedophile running the U.S. There's a whole lot of disgusting things happening in the world right now. I feel like we would be remiss to not point out that is also a thing here. Absolutely. Now, Jack handles it very, like, Jack's clearly disgusted by it. It's not...
he's cut off communication with the colonel. He's done.
Yeah. Because the colonel says, "Oh, but we're friends, Jack. We're friends, Jack." So, like, at least a redeeming quality for Papa Jack in that way. But the world in which we exist right now is gross in that way, and I just wanted to point that out because this is not where it starts, but this has been happening for a long time.
Totally, and I think including it in the movie is relatively accurate, because there are some, or were some, instances of very specifically women working in pornography industry in the 70s that later on it was discovered that they were underage.
No surprise.
And some, like, you know, in various cases, sometimes that's knowingly, sometimes that's, you know, people lying about how old they are to get into certain things, and nobody really checked at that point in time. But it is, you know, that is a realistic depiction of something that did
100%. I no argument for me. I have questions about why young women, because I'll count like Roller Girl, who's 18. And girls felt that they needed to lie to be able to do that. You know, there's an interesting is the wrong word. There's a connection to that and someone like Mila Kunis, who lied to be on the 70s show. Yep. Because she was also, 14? 14 or 15. Yeah. She was too young to be on the show and working. She would have been subject to, like, child hours or whatever they call that, right? Where she was a child actor. So it continues to happen.
It continues to happen, and even if you take it out of a legality context thing, think of everything when you were a teenager, you lied about how old you are and said you were older, and when you got older, you lied about how old you are and said you were younger.
I didn't. I don't know that I've ever lied about how old I am, because why bother?
No, but that is the thing that people will be like, oh, I'm 35, but it's like, oh, I'm 29.
Yeah.
Like,
inaccurate. I lied when I was 18 because drinking age in Ontario was 19.
Yes.
So there's that.
Statute of limitations. You're good.
I've been not 19 for a few years. But I think when we talk about the women in this movie and sort of the positioning of the women when we're talking about the porn itself, I also kind of want to talk about what the options are for women at this point. Yeah. Because one of the things when we talk about family, and this comes up in varying places, is marriage. So you have the obvious unhappy marriage of Eddie's parents. Yep. Dirk's parents. And you can see that. We've already talked about it. You have what I would argue is a marriage of sorts, and you don't actually know if they're married, but you kind of get the impression that's how it's being handled of Amber and Jack.
Okay, keep going, but I want to come back to Amber and Jack.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's almost like they're married, but it's clear that he still has the power dynamic there. Amber has a dissolved marriage.
Yep.
Because there's a custody battle for her child.
Yep.
There is an instance of Becky and Jerome get married.
Yeah.
And they do get married and they seem very happy about it, but they're leaving the industry as part of that.
Yeah, Jerome's not in the industry, but Becky is.
And it seems like Becky's leaving the industry. And Buck and the other gal whose name I've completely forgotten.
Jessie.
Buck and Jesse get married and have a child.
Yeah.
And the blood money that he gets in this robbery solves all their problems, and they open their own hi-fi store, which is also hilarious, listening to him try to explain hi-fi and then playing country music.
Really
I was
good.
like, why are we doing this?
There's one other marriage in there, too. There's Little Bill.
Listen, the least happy of the bunch.
Yeah.
And the positioning of women in power in this one is Little Bill and his wife.
Yeah.
Whose name I don't think we ever get, and if we do, I don't have it written down.
I don't recall it either.
But at so many points in this movie, it's scene where Wild Bill, Wild Bill's a different movie altogether. Lil Bill is the producer, and he seems, William H. Macy plays downtrodden beautifully.
So well.
And he's just, I think similarly to Eddie's dad, is kind of beat down by his circumstances.
Yeah, or desensitized or whatever
kind
it is.
It's happening. And he keeps finding his wife being fucked by varying men. And sometimes it's at parties where she's being watched by a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
One time it's at home. He comes home and she's just having sex with another dude in their bed.
Yeah.
And she basically tells him to fuck off and let them finish.
Yeah, and I think it's implied that she's also a porn actress.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
But it's clear that that's not the only thing happening here.
No, like it's probably, that's why it continues to happen, because the opportunities are plentiful for her, very likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that doesn't happen again and again for no reason.
No, and Bill is very clearly unhappy with this setup.
Yeah.
Does not like that his wife is just sleeping with all the Tom, Dick, and Harrys. Lol. And has expressed that on more than one occasion, but is essentially emasculated by his wife.
Yeah.
And her lack of giving a fuck about his feelings.
Yeah, which also comes to full fruition in maybe the funniest line of the entire movie, when she is having sex with the one man in like the driveway of the party.
Yeah.
And he's walking away from it after he's gotten in an argument with her, and she's just like, go away, you're embarrassing me. So he walks away and then runs into the cameraman, and the cameraman wants to talk about the lighting for the shoot tomorrow, and Bill's just not in. She's like, sorry, my wife's fucking some guy over there, and I just, oh yeah, sorry. So like, do we want to do that? He's like, I don't care. Do it in the, oh no, it's just the lighting of the movie. Oh, whatever. And then he gets really mad at him, and he means to say, my wife has a cock in her ass right now, but he flips the two words. He says, my wife has an ass in her cock. And I guess that is like, he fucked up the line, but it was so funny that PTA kept it in the movie.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's so, every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's such a good line, but also like perfect for a guy getting pissed off that his wife is being unfaithful. Yeah. Like, so good.
It's pretty great. So in these sort of relationships, and I think even just in general, you get the impression that when the men are happy, the women don't really have the power, right?
Right.
So you've got, Jack and whatever happens with Amber, because they sleep in the same bed. Yep. So, like every night it is implied. So they have some kind of long-term relationship happening there. He seems pretty stoked about it. Like he's pretty mellow. Everything's fine. You talk about Becky and Jerome. They seem genuinely happy, but he's making a decision about his career and she's following him. Yeah. Buck and Jesse, very similar situation. She's there to support him. The bank won't give him money because he works in porn.
I mean, she does too. But yeah.
But like it's his. That's the big thing is about him. Mm-hmm. Also, there's obviously racial tension and varying points for Buck too.
Yeah.
Like his boss says, "You dig," and I wanted to go through the screen and shake him. Fucking old white dudes.
Yeah.
But all that aside, it's still very much like they're having a kid and all these things. Mm-hmm. But it's him. It's his career.
Yeah.
The two most unhappy marriages are the first one we see with Eddie and Eddie's parents. Mm-hmm. We don't know how that one ends. It's not going to be good.
No.
The other one is Little Bill and his wife.
Yeah. And we're very aware of how that one ends.
And that one also doesn't end well. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we'll talk about that here in a second, but it's why are the women who have the power... They have and this is the one for me is like she has the power in this relationship and she ultimately is the one who's killed, right? Because there's not a lot of violence in this movie in the sense of gun violence. There's there's two instances. One is the robbery where Buck goes to buy donuts for his pregnant wife Jessie, and there's a robbery.
Yeah,
I don't need to go into it much more than that, other than the robber asks for the money. And there's another man in the place, and there's a shootout essentially.
Man reading a hunting magazine.
Hilarious. Buck manages to get away somehow, and everyone else is dead, and you don't really you understand what happened, but you don't really because it's just like 3 shots and everyone's dead. It's wild.
Yeah.
And he takes the blood money, runs, and then they open their hi-fi. That's kind of the end of that. It's violence in a way that
It's almost circumstantial.
Yeah, it's just kind of there to advance, there for the plot, so to speak. But the violence when it comes to the other instance is Wild Bill. I really want him to be Wild Bill, hey? Lil Bill shoots his wife.
Yeah.
William H. Macy's incredible. We were talking to friends of ours about this, that we were watching this movie for the pod. I don't talk about it until we have these moments.
Yeah.
And our friends, William H. Macy's the best part of that movie. You know what? Don't disagree. His acting is incredible. Yeah. So it's New Year's Eve, 1979. It's going to be into the 80s. And I said earlier, the 80s start with an actual bang.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy do they. So the 80s start with a bang because Little Bill decides he's had enough. Mm-hmm. He goes, he's looking for his wife. He always refers to her as my wife.
Yeah.
He doesn't refer to her by name, which to me is do you actually... Is she a possession to you? Mm-hmm. Right? She's my wife. And I know you like to Borat and call me my wife all the time. But you also refer to me by name to other people. He never does.
Yes.
And that to me is a marked contrast to everybody else who uses a name. Whether that's their actual name, because Amber's actually Maggie, whatever.
Yeah.
But all the other couples call each other by a name. Mm-hmm. He never uses a name. Yeah. And neither does, Dirk's mom never, there's no names there either. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't call her a name, so she's more of a figure. She's maybe a possession. He obviously is displeased. But to me, it doesn't feel like he's heartbroken. Mm-hmm. He's had enough because he's tired of being emasculated. Yeah. Because now his wife just keeps fucking other guys. So he's going to show her. Yeah. So there's this really great long shot of following him through the house. Because he goes, he sees it, he closes the door, doesn't even say anything this time. And he walks, he ends up with a glass of champagne from somebody else who's saying, hey, Bill, the countdown's about to happen. Yeah, no worries. Walks out to his car, puts the champagne on top of his vehicle, reaches in, gets his gun. And it's just like a one unbroken shot.
Yeah, it's a oneer. Yeah.
Takes the gun, goes inside, opens the door, clearly shoots his wife and whoever the hell she's fucking. Mm-hmm. Comes out, and the camera just zooms in on him.
Yeah. As the countdown is almost hitting zero.
As the countdown is nearly hitting 0. And so people start screaming because they hear gunshots. And then they turn and they look and they see Little Bill, and it's this moment of oh, fuck, what just happened? And then he turns the gun on himself. Yeah. And that's it. Mm-hmm. The 80s really start with a bang. Yeah. Dear Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty astounding sequence. So the one-shotter thing is a very PTA thing.
Yeah, I know.
That's one of 4 or 5 one-shotters in this movie that are awesome. Just so well staged, and that's one of them because they had to time a countdown to go with everything else, and you do see it's not just okay, we'll do this with a bunch of extras. Roller Girl goes by and snaps a Polaroid of Bill, like, after he's got the gun, and it, like, startles him. Like, his little things where it's just, like, somebody is going by him saying, come on, we're going in this way, and da-da-da. Like, everyone in the movie is in that scene.
And if at any point he'd made one different decision with these people who are his family, this is a different movie. The catalyst is different. If there's not a better way to show the difference between what's happening in the 70s and what happens in the 80s.
Yeah.
This is, like, it's an incredible time marker. Mm-hmm. It's very disturbing.
Yes.
And to me, again, sort of marks that he doesn't seem to believe that she's a person. She's just his wife.
Yep.
And I don't think that little Bill acts out of, again, heartbreak or any of that. I think he acts out of toxic masculinity, really.
Yeah, and it's that quiet toxic masculinity of, he's just like, it's almost like the character in Office Space that just like, okay, that's the last straw, I'm gonna burn this place. Like, he just is very calmly, okay, that's it.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
And it's so calm and eerie.
Yeah.
It's so calm.
So calm and eerie, and it's that's kind of the mark. There's two things that happen at that party almost at the same time. Just before that one-shotter is when Amber finds Dirk and, like, takes him back to one of the rooms and just is like, so happy that you're here with us and we're going to go through into the 80s and this is going to be great. And it's the first time that she gives him cocaine.
Yes.
And it's like, he does cocaine and Bill does what he does. And now we're into the 80s, and the cracks are showing.
Yeah, everything is changing.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it doesn't happen at the exact same time, but at the same party, this is when Floyd shows up with his merry band of children, and we're going to move to tape because we have to.
Yeah.
So it's this, like, there's a series of events, and it's clear that the tide is changing for all of these people.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Mm-hmm. Right? But yeah, it's really well done and also disturbing. And any woman who has sort of the power at that point ends up dead, I guess.
Yeah, and there is, I think, the woman that probably does have the most power through the movie, and even though she doesn't have it in certain ways, ends up being Amber.
Absolutely.
And, her relationship with Jack, which is, I wanted to ask you this. What do you think their relationship is?
It's funny. They, to me, feel very much like a sexless marriage. Mm-hmm. In that I don't think he's, like, they're banging every night. Yeah. I don't. Mm-hmm. Because it's always like, sweetheart and love, and can I get you a drink, honey tits, and it's almost like he's protecting an asset. Mm-hmm. Because I think he has a deep mutual respect for her in a way, and I think she does for him too. Yep. But I don't think it's a romantic relationship.
I don't necessarily get that sense either. It feels very much to me like this is mom and dad.
Yeah, and that's
a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, and that's sort of the, like, it's a marriage, but it's not a romantic sex-filled marriage. Yeah. It's a marriage of, we are the parents here. Yeah. Yeah, which is funny a little bit. And it's clear that Amber is trying to replace her own child.
Oh boy, yes.
Amber's got some problems.
Amber has a lot of problems.
When I talk about women in power, so one of the things that I like to, and I'm going to come to this with Roller Girl too, but one of the things that I want to acknowledge is that sex work is real work. Mm-hmm. And I think that often gets delegitimized. It obviously does during this time. It does now. Yeah. It always does. Sex work is real work. Yeah. It's the oldest profession for a reason, and people need to protect themselves. Period. End. Stop. Mm-hmm. I wondered in the initial sort of call she's having, and it's clear there's a custody battle. She's got an ex-husband and she has a son that she hasn't seen. I wondered if the reason she wasn't seeing him was just because of the sex work. Because at that point, we haven't seen her do cocaine. Yeah. And so to me, it was a fucking course, right? Here's a woman trying to make a career however she can. Mm-hmm. And her child is kept from her because this is considered illegitimate, or like it's delegitimized, or it's not safe, or whatever. Yeah. That's why my amendment comment earlier, because then I'm like, oh no, maybe the cocaine problem has something to do with it.
It might.
which is a whole other ballgame. And then you later see her having a custody battle, and she loses all of it because she hasn't been able to visit her son because she doesn't have a place that's safe.
Yeah.
Now, I would argue during the day that her home with Jack is probably pretty okay. I don't know that there's a ton of folks, at least in the early part, maybe like pre-1980, there doesn't seem to be a ton of folks around during the day doing a ton of coke. There doesn't seem to be, like, it all seems to be, we have these parties later in the day on the weekends or whatever, in the evenings, and it gets wild for sure, but none of it seems to be particularly traumatizing or, like, happening all the time.
Yeah, not that we're shown in the movies.
And
certainly.
It could very well be that that's the case, but... so is it her ex-husband pulling a power move and not letting her see her child? Does she not get to see him because she's high on cocaine? I don't really know. But the idea of mothering is like maternal instincts.
Yeah.
And you kind of get that from Jessie because she's about to have a baby, and then this baby becomes part of this family in the last shots, which is very interesting. Yeah. I love that. Everybody's uncle at that point, and as an aunt and an uncle to all of our friends' children, same. Yeah, I get it. We don't have any nieces and nephews, nibblings, as it were, right now. But it's this sort of maternal instinct, and Amber has nowhere to put it. Yep. So it ends up with Dirk. It ends up with Roller Girl. It ends up with the younger members of this particular crowd. Yep. To the point that she makes a documentary about Dirk. Yep. A flattering one, sort of.
It's sort of a flattering one. I think it's her
a film and a film and a film.
Yeah, it's sort of it's an interesting first step for her, because by the end you do see that she clearly, like, not only is she doing something new to her, but like she's probably seen Jack direct a bunch of films, and now it's like, well, she made this documentary. Now she's shooting the commercial for Buck, and it's like, oh, she kind of is like finding her way as a behind the camera creative in this space and in commercials.
Because her career as a porn film star is not going to last forever.
No, as you talked about with, the
push for youth.
Push for youth. But
it's irritating.
Like she is moving into that, and I think her initial documentary is flattering and also not flattering in ways that maybe she didn't quite realize or anybody else quite realized. Most notably Dirk to himself.
Oh yeah, no, because he's
it's pretty oblivious,
pretty high on his own fumes at that point.
But yeah, there is a real, like, kind of Amber Waves as a character is probably a very fascinating psychological study of the, like, Oedipal mother thing. Of like the real replace, or Lady Macbeth, or whoever it is, where it's like there's a real, like, sexual tension of mother son, even though Dirk isn't her son,
but she calls him her son.
Oh god, does she lean into it so hard all the time, and even when she's high and when she's not high.
Yeah, it's a constant. Yeah, she's clearly replacing the son she can't see with this man that she's decided is her son. And in the same vein, Dirk's never had a good, like, Dirk Eddie has never had a good maternal figure, so having something like this makes it easier for him.
More than willing to go along with it because he's getting what he didn't get.
Yeah, and Amber also takes under her wing Roller Girl and turns her into her child as well. Yeah. In a very strange way.
Very strange way. You see less of it until that one scene that you've alluded to. Yeah, until the scene where
they're already doing all the coke.
Yeah. And you do get again a little bit of that it's like the motherly instinct that she clearly has as an actual mother. Yeah. That she doesn't have anywhere to put that. And so
she puts it into these people, and Jack, to like a similar way, takes care of the family, right? And so it's absolutely very much mother, like, or mom and dad. That's what, like, it seems like they're married, whether they are or they're not. Yeah, it's that sort of.
They certainly act that way.
Yeah, and marriage doesn't always have to be romantic. Correct. Love. Yeah. And there are other reasons. That's not how it works in our house.
No, but that is the thing, and very early on, Jack does say that when he brings Eddie back to his house for the first time. Yeah. When, like, Amber goes to bed early before anybody else, and she goes to bed, and Jack is just talking to Eddie, and he's like, she is the best. She is a fantastic actress, and a mother to everyone that needs it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is the perfect summation of what she is and feels she is, even when she complicates it.
And you get that all the way through to the end, right? And we've talked about the one long shot. I'm going to spoil this here for me too, but the long shot of Jack walking through his house.
Yep.
It's again a one long shot. The only recognition, because it's sort of, you're seeing all the people as he's walking through the house.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the rest of the family. So you get, Reed's in the pool with the baby, and Buck's there, and there's these things. All these things are happening. Right?
Yep.
And you follow Jack through the house. There's acknowledgement of God, I wanted to be Wild Bill so bad. Small Bill.
Little Bill.
Little Bill, Small Bill, Wild Bill. Bill. William H. Macy. It's funny that it's William H. Macy for Bill. There's an acknowledgement of his existence because there is a portrait of him.
One of Jesse's paintings.
One of Jesse's paintings on the wall. It's almost the same shot as like him looking into the camera before he shoots himself.
Yep.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's very, very good. And also very like, it's reminiscent of the scene where he shoots himself. It's also reminiscent of what he did on set.
Yeah.
He's always just behind, like, not directly behind the camera, but over the shoulder of
the
Ricky Jay,
yeah.
looking at what's going on, making it, like, when do I yell cut? When, like, it's very, very smart and just a lovely little, like, nod to what he was doing, and yeah.
So I also want to talk about like women in this, and I kind of jumped a little bit, but I just wanted to acknowledge that shot because I may not have it in another one of my topics. So there it is. Is Roller Girl.
Yep.
So Roller Girl is young. She is shown in high school, and there's a dude who's, miming a blowjob because he's clearly seen her in a film.
Yeah.
She leaves, never gets her doesn't get her to graduate from high school. Later talks in the cocaine scene with Mother about wanting to get her GED, and you do see her working on that later. But she doesn't get a name. She is her shoes, which are roller skates.
Yeah, never takes them off.
Never takes them off, even when she's banging. She's everywhere, just in roller skates at all times.
Yeah.
And so the only time she gets a name is when it's used against her.
Yeah.
And I find that very upsetting, off-putting, because she's clearly not just Roller Girl. She has a name. Her teacher calls her Honey when she leaves, but that's not it. It's Brandy. And you only get that when she's in the car with Jack, and he's clearly doing things he doesn't want to do, but here we are. There's some
making film history here on videotape, just with the most contempt in the world.
Yeah, he's having the best time.
Great.
So they're basically doing cash cab, but they're picking up a dude to fuck Roller Girl in the back seat of this car.
Yeah.
And they happen to pick up the dude from her that went to high school with her.
That made
the blowjob scene. And he knows who she is. Oh, it's going to be great. He's doing whatever the fuck he wants. This is assault.
Yeah.
This is not, like, again, this is my, sex work is legitimate work. Also, consent is important, and I know at one point I had a comment about Dirk asks Amber for consent, and that's new for her.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, but it is especially at this point in time. But consent still, people don't understand. And so she's being assaulted by this man because it becomes clear that she doesn't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And also, he's blocking the shot. It's about him, right?
Yeah.
It becomes about him and what he knows of her. And, we went to high school together. And then when she finally says, no, I don't want to do this anymore, Jack calls it.
Yeah.
To his credit. And they throw this kid out. And he makes a disparaging remark about the films.
Yeah, he's like, he kind of slags her a bit, like, the fine life you've made for yourself, and goes to leave. And then as he's leaving the car, looks at Jack. He's like, your fucking films suck now anyways, bud.
Yeah, and then he gets his head kicked in, basically.
Yeah.
He's not dead, but he's probably not going to have fun.
No.
Post this. I said there was not a lot of instances of violence. That's untrue.
This is actually maybe the most violent part of this movie. This is the most
violent part of this movie, because it goes from assault into, it goes from a sexual assault, as far as I'm concerned, into a physical one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's left on the road bleeding, and it's sort of this juxtaposition of him and what happens to him, and Jack losing his shit because he didn't want to make these shitty films, and he didn't want to be doing this, and she didn't want to, like, she's mad that her whole life has been considered a joke at this point. Yeah. I do get the feeling she wanted to make the early ones. She doesn't want to make this shitty stuff now either. And fuck this guy. And haven't we all had small revenge narratives in our heads about shitty dudes from high school?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've ever dreamed of kicking anyone with roller skates. What I'm saying is, you know, we've all had the shitty people from high school.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Jack starts beating on him. They get Jack away, and then she goes and kicks him with the roller skates.
Yeah.
Whether this man survives or not, we know not. He's breathing when the scene ends, and that's all you ever get out of it.
Yeah.
They get in the car, they drive away, because you could do that in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's the most violent, and yet is not off-putting to me, which is funny for somebody who doesn't like violence.
Yeah.
And it's this juxtaposition between this and then what happens with Buck. They kind of lead right into each other.
Well, and there's a third part to that, too, that's intercut with it, and it's Dirk in the truck.
And it's Dirk in the truck, because that's also violent. Yeah, there's a lot of... And I take it all back, there's lots of violence in this.
Yeah.
And speaking of sex work is legitimate work... So Dirk finds himself with no money. For a man for whom this movie is about, you have very little Dirk story for me at this point. And his character growth is like, all right, your penis is the most exciting part about you. However, so Dirk finds himself with no money, and they need money because he and Reed have recorded some excellent music demos.
Oh, feel my heat.
And you can tell Reed's written the lyrics. And like I said earlier, excellent poets should take it on the road.
Oh.
And so they need the money, and this is going to be the thing that they're definitely going to sell it to the radios, or to the record companies, because that also is still a thing in the 80s.
Have you heard the tapes? They're that good. We're guaranteed a contract.
And so they want these tapes. They can't get them because they can't pay for them. So in a low point, Dirk basically sells his body and goes back to his roots of, you want to watch me jack off.
Yeah.
However, he cannot get it up. And that has happened to varying points leading up to his blowout with Jack, which I said Coke makes Dirk's dick sad.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why. Drugs will do that to you.
They will.
And so he's in this truck. This dude, I find this is one of those where I'm like, homophobia. Because the man who's in the truck who picks him up is, paying for the privilege.
Yeah.
And he tells this dude tells Dirk he's disgusting, and then his buddies pull up and they beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, he gets gay bashed.
Often, I find the most homophobic people tend to be closeted.
Yeah.
And you kind of get that feeling in this scene. Like, he's clearly watching. Yeah. If you are that disgusted by it, you wouldn't be doing that. So, happy Pride Month, everybody. God. Anyway, it's icky. So, there's these three sort of concurrent instances of violence. Yeah. And they all seem to be the point in which everybody turns their life around.
Yeah, there is one more, because there's the long way down one last thing scene with Rahad and the three boys.
Yeah, it seems like it's the catalyst for folks turning their life around.
But everybody else except for Dirk, and Dirk has one more moment where he has a full come to Jesus with himself.
Yeah, and it happens then, but I like at the moment with Rahad, because they go and they're gonna give him a half a key of baking powder or baking soda that looks like Coke, baking soda. Yeah. And that they're gonna get money from this guy, and he is majestic in ways I cannot explain.
Fucking Alfred Molina, it's such a memorable role. Yeah. For being on screen for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's wild. So the three guys go and they're gonna con to get more money, but Todd goes off the rails because Todd. See, there's way more violence in this movie than I'm even thinking there is. There's shooting here too, but my brain was like diddly dee potatoes. I forgot about it. And the reason I probably forgot about the shooting in this particular scene is because there's also a man throwing firecrackers throughout the house.
Cosmo.
Cosmo.
He's Chinese.
He's just releasing firecrackers this entire scene.
Yeah.
So I got desensitized to the gun because it all sounded the same.
Yeah. That was also an audio jump scare the first time that happened.
Yes, it was. A few audio jump scares. But beautifully done, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go and then Todd decides he knows there's a safe and he's going to get more money. And Reed and Dirk figure out that if they're going to go, they could just go right now.
Yeah.
Before they realize that this isn't actually Coke. They've got the money in their hot little hands. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And it turns into a shootout. Everybody gets shot. So the bodyguard gets shot. Rahad does not. We don't really know what happens to him.
No, he chases them with the shotgun, but Dirk gets away and Reed runs away.
Yeah. We don't really know what happens to him, but I bet life is not kind to Rahad later.
Probably not.
And Todd gets shot and is dead.
Yeah.
So the two boys get away, and then you see this is Dirk having his come to Jesus moment because Reed's not in the るwith him. It's just him.
Yeah.
He runs out of gas. He walks the car basically to Jack's, and this is the reunion, and then it all becomes the last scene where the family's back together.
Yeah.
And Dirk's going to record porn again.
He is.
And that's that I'm going to talk about absolutely last.
Yeah.
But it's... Yeah, I don't know. It's this like sort of juxtaposition. It's a very much a PTA thing to do.
Yeah.
Have these like 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever, these scenes that are happening simultaneously, separately, all very similarly around the same sort of thing. There's a lot of violence in this particular scene, but
and interestingly, I don't know if you picked up on this when it was happening,
probably
but when those 3 violent things are going on there, the 2 trucks of the dudes that have just gay bashed Dirk, they speed away, the camera stays, the limo goes by with Roller Girl and Jack, and then the car comes by with Buck and Jesse, and that's when the donut shop scene happens. So like it's all taking place in the same block.
It's all happening right in the same,
which is also a PTA thing. He it goes back to that in several movies.
I actually do have a note about that. Which all the cars are passing each other. It's like the best and the worst passing each other and nobody knows.
Yeah.
Right? It's this, there's your future, there's your past. It's all happening together. And yeah, it's a very Paul Thomas Anderson move. So I quite enjoyed that part. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, I'm gone through Roller Girl has this whole scene and that she gets a name once.
Yeah.
Identity plays a really interesting part in this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like people have invented themselves, right? Roller Girl doesn't use her name. She's only Roller Girl. Amber's name is actually Maggie. No one refers to her by that. To the point that someone, I assume her son, calls to ask for her. Mm-hmm. And nobody knows who that is and says, sorry, we don't have a Maggie here.
Yeah.
Right?
Luis Guzman goes looking for her.
Yes.
And, no Maggie here.
I can't remember his character's name for the life of me, but he owns the club, and later his brothers moved to the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
And it's supposed to be the Rodriguez brothers, but somebody misspells it, so it becomes the Rodriguez brothers. So good times. So that good. Too. Maurice is great. What do we make of Maurice?
Luis Guzman is also a treasure. Again, like a character actor for all times.
Yes. But we have this, so that is an identity thing. Scotty is playing a straight man in the sense of like is trying his very best, I think, but his identity it's clear that he's in love with Dirk.
Yeah.
And so I'm not even going to touch on that particularly, because it's not a central tenet, which is interesting. It's just kind of like, oh, I love you. And then Dirk, to his credit, in a time which was incredibly homophobic, Dirk doesn't ever, like, he brushes them off, but that's kind of it. It's not.
They still hang out.
They're still friends.
Scotty's still friends with them when they're doing the drug deal gone wrong.
Yes, like they're all still, like, they stay friends, which is, I appreciate.
Yeah.
Reed is a magician as well. Yep. Which is funny because it's clear that's
man of many
talents, a poet. But you don't ever get to know if that's his actual name or not. But it's clear that there's this almost cult-like way of like Eddie becomes Dirk, who plays. There's a film within a film, right?
Yeah.
Eddie becomes Dirk. Dirk Diggler plays this action character that they propose.
Brock Landers,
because he has an excellent mullet.
Yeah.
That he and Reed proposed to Jack as hey, we could do this series and this is an actual movie and it's going to be it's action, and this is where he keeps saying he knows karate.
Yeah.
And it's clear from like his room that this is the action movies of the 70s and 80s, right?
Yep.
This is what he wants to do. But also porn will be involved.
Yeah.
And so but Eddie's the original name of this kid.
Yep.
He loses Eddie altogether. Eddie's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like for Roller Girl, Brandy's gone. For Amber, Maggie is gone. For Jack, we don't know, but I get the feeling Jack has probably got another name somewhere in the background that we never hear
because
about.
Jack Horner is not his real name, let me tell you.
Not a chance.
The Colonel is not the Colonel's
The Colonel is not
name.
his actual... So it's identity and the way that identity politics play into this. Yes. And I say the same thing, I've already said it, but the way that Bill's wife is my wife.
Yep.
She doesn't have another identity.
Yeah.
These are the kids, they're going to be the next wave. It's this sort of... And the girl who comes and overdoses on coke, the young woman who comes to the party. The girl, she's not a young woman, who comes to the party. Doesn't ever really get a name.
Nope.
And so this lack of like identity for her as well.
Yep.
Identity politics are very interesting in this.
Yeah, it's almost like, it feels like in a lot of ways like something like professional wrestling, where you have people that, like there are professional wrestlers that like use their actual name. Like Bret Hart was actually Bret Hart.
the Hitman Hart.
You know, he had a nickname, but it's like, yeah, this is that. But, you know, Steve Austin is not Steve Austin's actual name, I don't believe.
I don't know, actually.
There are some people that have monikers. Like, if you were to ask, you know, people, who is this person, and show them a picture of The Undertaker, they're not going to say it's Mark something. I don't know his real name, but, like, they're not going to say Mark. They're very likely going to say this is The Undertaker. Or, like, Triple H. That's not his real name. His name's Paul Levesque.
Wait,
like,
you mean his name is not Triple H?
Yeah.
The fun story, I was like, our friends who may listen to this, who are massive wrestling fans, have a lot of thoughts about our voyage into wrestling here. Steve Austin is Steve Austin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I had to look it up.
I thought it was Steve something different than that, but
no,
yeah, there you go. But like you have a lot of people that were involved in wrestling, and if you go into the 70s and 80s in the kind of roid era of wrestling, there are people that were wrestling at that point in time that were very big deals that kind of never, like Hulk Hogan never got over not being Hulk Hogan anymore.
No, he stayed that way forever.
He stayed that way, so he kept that persona in the same way that, like, Eddie can't go back to being Eddie. He's Dirk Diggler.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Right? And Amber Waves will be Amber Waves forever.
Yep.
And that's just kind of the way it's going to be.
It's almost like they get their own little strange witness protection moment, where it's just like, I can leave behind this life of my shitty mom, or I can leave behind my failed marriage and my child that I can't see because I have cocaine charges or whatever. Like, I can leave that behind and do this here because these people accept me.
Yeah, and we've built our own family. Yeah. So identity is a very interesting sort of catalyst for this whole movie.
And the one part we haven't talked about with identity is our good friend Buck, who tries on a bunch of costumes, whether it's the cowboy outfit that his like boss chides him for. I love when he tries on the fucking Egyptian pharaoh shit.
Yeah, it's
that
wild.
Is first when him and Jesse start to get interested in each other. And he's like, I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty original. And Jesse's like, it is original. And then he just like is itching his... He's like, no, I have to take this off, and she like mocks it like it's a living like spider or something. Yeah. And again, it's just like he's there trying on a bunch of different things because he probably is like, oh, and it is me, generic black porn star, like.
And are they all just trying on a bunch of different identities? Because they've pulled their own identity as the stars they are, but then they play these different roles. So it's a role within a role within a role. And how do you know what's real anymore?
Yep. And they almost, several people, Dirk and Reed especially. Yeah. Because like Dirk Diggler is objectively just kind of a great, funny name. And if you're doing a porn name, like Jack loves it immediately. Yeah. He's like, I love it. That's a good name. Reed's like, this name's fucking great. Reed Rothschild, kind of a great name. And then when they're coming up and pitching the movie, the Brock Landers movie, to Jack, like, they barely have an idea what they want the movie to be about, but they're like, you think about names, and they like have 2 names that Jack is immediately like, those are great names. They're better at making alter egos than they are at being themselves.
And isn't that say a lot about all of the people in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love identity in this and that. We've talked a lot about family at this point, and now that it's coming up because you said these people accept me.
Yep.
There's a lot of conversation in the world right now about found family and kind of creating your own.
Yep.
Is this one of the first instances in popular media of a found family?
Oh, yeah. So there's some interesting, like, I think that we did All About Eve. All About Eve is similar in that way for Eve Harrington.
For sure.
Because she is finding, like, she's left her, like, her old life behind, taken on a new name, and is being accepted by these people until she tries to usurp them.
I was going to say, but I think that has less of a, I can't believe I'm about to use this word in a movie that's about porn. In a less wholesome way, Eve Harrington doesn't come to find family. She comes to be a star.
Yeah, she's here to step on their backs.
That's what she's there for.
Yeah, and these people are the rising tides raise all ships. That's what they're trying to do. They're
I love that line.
Yeah.
In addition to that, perhaps, this movie itself, while set in the 70s, or all playing fast and loose without condoms and, proper sex ed.
Yeah.
Good times, is filmed in 96.
Yeah.
That is it's still in the AIDS crisis.
Yeah, kind of getting closer to the tail end.
Moving towards the tail end, but still, like, very much something people are thinking about.
Yep.
And the conversation, and I encourage everybody to take a look into the history. I don't have a name of the book off the top of my head, but there's a lot of info out there of, like, the history of the AIDS crisis. Mm-hmm. And a lot of pride stuff coming up in this one. Yep. Happy June.
Happy June.
About the way that family was created for queer folks.
Yep.
And this sort of found family idea. In particular, a lot of lesbians taking care of gay men who were dying of AIDS.
Mm-hmm. And there's a movie actually that's about to get a big physical media release from Cinematograph. It's called The Boys in the Band, which is quite a well-known gay 70s film that actually, like, showed groups of gay men that are friends, that it's almost like the found family type thing. I haven't seen the movie in full yet, but I've seen a lot of clips of it from, like, the Celluloid Closet.
Yeah.
And it also is taking place at that point in time as well, so deals with that as a big cultural issue.
We talk about, it comes up a lot culturally now, I think, because there's a lot more estrangement from parents and things, and people putting in boundaries and all these other things that we talk about, which are great. Please put in your boundaries. But I would argue, sort of started with a lot of queer folks. Yeah. Because when you're removed from your family, because people don't accept who you are, you have to find other people who become your family. And there's actually, God, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. There is a man on Instagram who's actually organized a whole community and organization in the States that will send folks to important events for queer folks to act as their stand-in family. So like if your mom will not come to your wedding because it's a lesbian wedding, then they have folks. They'll send somebody in lieu if you want. Cool.
That's great.
And like there's a lot of outreach of like, no, you're our family now. And I've seen a lot of that in the last little bit, and I think that's really cool, because if we're not taking care of each other, who the fuck is? And isn't that really the impetus of this whole movie? On the one hand, this is a movie about porn, but it's not a movie about porn, it's about these people. And they're taking care of each other in the best way they know how.
It's kind of that era's version of the Island of Misfit Toys.
Oh yeah, well there's something. Speaking of misfit, let's talk about Dirk and the fitting, because okay, listen. Since this movie happened, because I looked it up, Marky Mark has apologized for this movie because he's Catholic now.
Born again Christian.
I mean, I say now, he was probably Catholic the whole time, but now his morals have changed. Mark Wahlberg, if you're listening to this, I have so many thoughts, but that's neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. He has worn a prosthesis for this whole movie, for his giant penis.
Yeah. Well, right? In the parts that there's any close-ups of a bulge or anything.
But it's very much implied, like, this is, at one point I think he says 13 inches.
Yeah, that's the line he's rehearsing, so that's probably where it comes from.
That's a fucking forearm is what that is.
That's like bruising your kneecap.
What did a friend of mine she's listening to this will remember this. We used to refer to the, like, Girth the Destroyer, bringer of pain, because no.
It's no fun for anybody.
Well, it's gotta be fun for somebody in this movie, I suppose. But, so there's so much talk about his penis.
Yeah.
And Dirk, to his credit, I've kind of talked around him. He's not the central point of this movie. Mm-hmm. He changes his identity. He goes and does these films, and like any kid who suddenly has money and has come from a bad place, he starts to spend it on clothes and cars and things, because he's young. It happens. Him and his buddy are going to go spend money. Then, cocaine happens to him. Yeah. Then he has a cocaine rage, and leaves Jack, and then finds himself desolate. Gets fired, and then it becomes this whole desolate, like he's desolate.
Yeah.
And desperate as well. And so then there's the sex scene, or the sex work scene, and and Rahad. We've talked about all of this. That's kind of his whole trajectory. Yeah. You don't get a lot more out of him.
You get the rise and the fall.
Basically. Yeah. He's there so that all the rest of this movie can happen. Mm-hmm. But the big thing, literally, for him is that he's been blessed with an enormous penis. Yeah. And everybody talks about it, but nobody sees it. You see a bulge, you don't see anything. You see
them, like, going sideways during his first,
which was
like,
so
scene.
Funny. The guy's, like, everybody's head tilting to see it.
Reed and Becky just going, like,
huh.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and everybody comments on it, but you don't, as the audience, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Right? Until the end. Mm-hmm. When the gang is back together, and Dirk's going to film, maybe on tape, probably on film. We don't actually know. I'm not sure we do. New porno movies.
In the best Miami Vice white suit
because
you've ever seen.
Because it's the 80s and his hair is slicked back like it's Miami Vice as well.
Don Johnson would be proud.
He probably was. And so there's this moment of him giving himself a pep talk about his lines in the mirror, which you see him do before he ever records his first one. Yeah. So it's this full circle moment for him of, I'm back. I'm going to do the same thing I always did. But he also has this, like, I'm a star, and that's usually what gets his dick up, basically. Yeah. So he starts doing that, and then you get this is the only time it's shown on film, and you see naked women at varying points in this movie. Yep. But the only time you see male genitalia is his, and it's the last sort of shot. Yeah. Lol. And it's just, he takes this big floppy dick out of his pants, and it's like, oh, hey, this is the thing that this has started this whole movie. Yeah. Men proud of their penises create videos, apparently. Yeah. So yeah, it's wild. I really enjoyed that they made you wait till the end. Yeah, I think there's an interesting debate with this movie, and specifically with that ending scene, that I've seen lots of different videos, because I have seen this movie so many times. Yeah. That I've watched rewatchables episodes and other people talking about it. There's a real, like, divide of people as to whether they actually like seeing the prosthetic at the end versus not seeing the prosthetic and just, like, leaving it up to the imagination. I can understand why. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's like this makes sense to have, like, everybody's talked around it, and everybody's like, the way they've said it is like, oh, this kid is going to be a star, meaning, like, he has the biggest dick I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And in that's how you make a male porn star a star, basically. Clearly. And I do like at the end that it's like, when it's come full circle and, like, the thing that made him a star is failing him, then it's like, okay, this is the point where he's like, in order for me to be a star, I need to look at my own penis.
and be like, this is my special thing, and now I feel special, and now I am ready. And it like that's such the impetus of his character that I think it's like the perfect note to end on.
I think so too. I can understand why some people wouldn't want to see it, though. I get that, leave it to the imagination is also a thing. Yeah, Dirk's whole identity is his penis.
Oh yeah. And it's going to continue to be.
That's all he's got.
He's probably learned some lessons, but he maybe hasn't learned that his worth is more than his dick.
Yeah, I don't think he has.
Yeah.
Has anybody really learned anything in this movie?
Ooh. Oh, that's a fun exercise, because there's a lot of people. I think probably Buck and Jesse have maybe they've learned something, and they're the ones that are probably coming out of this pretty at where they want to go in the trajectory of their life. Like, as much as Buck had to endure the being in the place that was getting robbed, he got
and
what he
also
needed.
Racism.
Yeah, and also the racism, but he's gotten what he needed to move himself out of this, and he's got a stay. We don't even get an inkling as to whether he's going to stay in porn or not.
No, well, he's acting in his commercials.
Yeah.
Is that all the acting he needs? Because he talks about being an actor, right? It's clear that that's what he's wanted this whole time.
So I think he has maybe found his part, and that Jessie's now a mom, and she's, even though she's still hanging around everybody, there's not necessarily.
She's doing her art, right?
Yeah. So it's okay. So there's something there. Is Reed intelligent enough to have learned anything? I'm not sure.
Oh, bless him. Maybe. No, I don't know that he is.
Amber is probably still pretty fucked up with who she is. Jack is probably... I think Jack's just fine. Jack is... He's making a shitload of money off of having now a video, fucking vault that he's walking through at one. He's making money hand over fist.
Of course he is.
There maybe Buck and Jesse.
I was gonna say, and I think there's a difference for me between getting what they want and learning something.
Yeah.
I think in the end of the movie, everybody got what they wanted. Mm-hmm. I don't know that they all learned anything.
Yeah.
So I would maybe challenge Buck learning things. I'm not sure Buck's learned anything. I think Buck just got what he wanted.
And I think I think you're right. I think he learned that life's really hard for a black man in the early 80s and the 70s and a lot of different times, and a black man married to a very, very white woman.
Also Don Cheadle's so good.
So
everyone in this movie is so good.
It's really good. Melora Walters, Jesse, also incredibly good.
That's one thing I will talk about here at the end, just from a film itself sort of standpoint. But at the end of the movie, I don't think anyone's learned anything. Because Jack's back to making money hand over fist, so he got what he wanted, but he hasn't learned shit. Yeah. And everyone's still kind of objectively a bad person. Yeah. Or not a great person. I think bad's maybe not fair, because that's writing them very black and white in stark contrast, and there's a lot of gray in this movie. Yeah. But I don't know that anyone becomes a better person. No. I don't think they learn a lesson. I don't think they become better people. I don't know if there's any character growth for most of them. I think they just get what they want.
Probably. I would be willing to bet that there probably isn't a lot of... Dirk's probably not on the drugs. I think he's maybe been a little bit scared by that. But
I think that might be clean, but that's woohoo. But yeah,
it kind of is I think by the end that there's one pillar of whether it's calm or whether it's consistency in the whole movie, and it's Jack. He really doesn't the most worked up he gets about anything in the movie is when they insinuate about going to videotape, and when he fires Dirk,
and when he kicks that kid,
and when he kicks the kid. But that, so in those three moments, that's the most worked up he gets, and he's just I don't think he loves that he's selling VHS tapes now. No, but he's still here. He's still very calm. The storm can happen around him, but he is the director. He is doing that and needs to keep going. And basically everybody that survives, Todd Parker, the Thomas Jane who got shot, he wasn't involved in porn. He was a dancer, like a stripper.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, he's out of there. Little Bill is not there anymore, but they've just kind of replaced Little Bill with somebody else. Everybody kind of is like, they've had all of the shit happen to them. And when that shit has happened to them, if they're living to tell the tale, they've come back to the director to give some calm in their lives.
And he's the head of the family, right?
Yep. He's Vito Corleone.
I was gonna say, I was like, this sounds secretly like other movies we've watched for this podcast. So it's just interesting to get to the end of a movie, and maybe true of a lot of PTA. There's not a ton of character development in the sense that I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about other ones, even one thing after another. Which he's kind of learned something at the end, but
but there's also some Perfidia, Beverly Hills hasn't really learned anything.
There's a lot of them who haven't learned anything and are just living life at this point. Also the Colonel gets what he fucking deserves. So I would have liked to see more suffer. I'm just kidding. I would not want to see that.
I think he probably did.
He absolutely did, based on the one small cut of what you get there. On that note, I did say, so that's kind of my themes of the movie itself. And characterization, all that sort of thing. I've already talked about the film in terms of how things are shot with the one long scenes. And I've talked about the sound. I also talked about, you brought it up, but it was on my notes to talk about, was that crossover of the cars. So the only other film thing, and this came up at the beginning, is just the casting in this movie is fucking spot on. It's bonkers. So well done. I don't think there's a single actor in this that I have a concern with. They're
really,
nothing took me out of this movie.
Nope.
As far as acting goes, they were all really, really well cast. They all really well acted. Any noms they got made sense. It's great.
And it kind of launched, like I said, it launched a lot of people. Julianne Moore was a known commodity before this, certainly.
She's a baller.
And she's a baller. That, in the few years after this, and she was in several of these actors actually were also in Magnolia, PTA's next one. She plays a very memorable, if not completely over the top character. And then she also has then settled into Far From Heaven and a lot of these awards nominations that she got and eventually won an Oscar later for. This is one of a few that kind of really set her into a point where people are like, oh, Julianne Moore, great actress. John C. Reilly, fucking hell, he is so goddamn funny in this movie.
Oh, the man's so good. I love a John C. Reilly.
And he was one of the only actors that was in PTA's first film, and then also this one. He was in Hard 8. And he definitely, this Boogie Nights put him on the map.
I could see that.
Mark Wahlberg, again, totally elevated him. Don Cheadle, again, a known commodity that after this, people were like, I want that guy for Ocean's 11.
Don Cheadle fella.
He's great. Philip Seymour Hoffman. This was one of his first real springboards.
Rip Philip Seymour Hoffman.
And again, Scotty in a small amount of scenes is
incredibly memorable
and has that emotional breakdown in the car after Dirk rejects him. And you just from here, then he also goes on to Magnolia, is an incredible role in that, is in Punch Drunk Love. He was a PTA guy.
And is in $1.5 billion other movies.
He's ended up being one of the great actors of my lifetime, certainly. I'm trying to think of there's so many other people.
William H. Macy, I've already said this, but
so good.
Incredible.
And just a lot
Heather Graham.
And Heather Graham was pretty well known because of Swingers. But again, this is one where people were like, oh, she can do this too? And
Yeah.
there's some really fun like casting what ifs with this movie, because there's certain people that Heather Graham was not someone that was ever originally considered for Roller Girl.
Yeah, I
There
can
was
see that.
several other actresses that PTA wanted and never considered Heather Graham. She's like, because he said like, I don't think she'll get naked for a movie, and this is about porn stars. And then Heather Graham's like agent found out about it, and she read the script and was like, I want to do this, and so got the role through that. Interestingly enough, the person that I think had the hardest time wanting to do the movie, then not wanting to do it, then getting cast in it, then not enjoying it while on set was Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds was not he didn't like, I don't think him and PTA got along real well.
Oh, that would be a challenge, yeah.
And this is so different than anything Burt had ever done. Like, he was a very action hero-y, Smokey and the Bandit type.
Totally.
And, I mean, this is head and shoulders the best thing Burt Reynolds ever did as an actor. Like, he's incredible.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
And it's so interesting. Like, he got an Oscar nomination. He very likely should have won it this year. And he, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he never actually watched this finished film, because I think even afterwards, like, PTA wanted him to be in Magnolia, and he said no. Even after, like, the success and the award nomination, he was still like, no, I don't think so. So, it was almost cast a bunch of other different people. Don Cheadle almost didn't get cast in this because he wanted to use Samuel L. Jackson, who was in Hard 8, and Sam Jackson didn't want to do it, so then he cast Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle became who he was.
I was gonna say,
this.
I'm not sure that it'd be the same movie.
It wouldn't be. It would be a different buck.
I'm
that's
sure,
for sure.
but
Yeah,
not.
Yeah. This is a really fun sliding doors kind of movie for so much of the cast, and you can go like to the 15th, 16th, 20th, 30th person in the cast, and literally, like, Floyd Gondoli, Philip Baker Hall, is an incredible character actor.
Yeah.
And he comes in and says, I like butter in my ass and lollipops in my mouth, and you're like, that was fucking great.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The casting is impeccable, and like, PTA would just keep it going with the incredible casting. Like, One Battle After Another is one of those where you just like, there's so many great characters in so many parts of that movie, and that's kind of what he does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it. I have had to look this up now because it brings me joy.
Okay.
I was like, did Burt Reynolds ever watch this? The internet tells me no.
Yeah.
He saw a rough cut of it and hated it so much he fired his agent.
Yes, that's the big, like, the really well-known story where he's like, he didn't want to do it. His agent said, this is going to be a really good opportunity. The script's really good. I think you do really well with it. He did it, didn't enjoy himself, was great, and couldn't see how great he was in the rough cut, and fired his agent. Like, it's a great story.
Yes. Yeah, it's wild. It's interesting to even go back and just look at it. I'm just kind of looking now. Mm-hmm. Because he's very much one of the best parts of this movie.
Yeah.
And I think you've got Burt Reynolds himself being so tied to a movie, being a big movie actor in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. Right?
And the 80s.
And the 80s. But like at this point when this movie is made. Yeah. And so he's making movies in the 70s, and now this movie is set in the 70s, and I could see how that would cause some problems with Paul, like PTA, who ostensibly is a young upstart at this point. Yep. And, the old guard has a hard time turning that over. But anyway, that was my last. I thought it was fantastic. The casting in this is incredible. Ha ha ha. I wish I'd known this more about Burt Reynolds, but that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot in this. This is the kind of movie where, like, when, and again, like I said, I've watched this movie many, many times at this point. There's so much in this movie. It's very well thought out. It's very well shot. There's just little tiny things that you notice in, like, the first time you watch it, and then things that you later on just go like, oh yeah, okay. There's certain the way that some of the characters talk, I always find, like, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, that's kind of schlocky. But, like, if you think of the commercial that Buck shoots at the end for his thing,
the wording that they script for him is like, come down to Buck Super Stereo World, and he has whatever it is, and it's like, you can get here, groove, and come inside us. It's such a porn line.
Yeah, I know, it's so good.
But they're just like there's those little lines in places where you're like, oh, this is what they do and they can't turn it off. Like this is just how people in the industry talk, because this is the script they're given, so they know
these are the lines they've learned, and this is what their identities
yeah
become.
So it's just like, it's a bit like that episode of Friends where Joey and Chandler get the free porn channel, and by the end it's the Chandler's like, I went to the bank and the teller didn't even like ask to sleep with me. They're like, we've been watching too much porn. So it just infected
like, if we turn
their
it
brain.
off, we'll never see it again.
But just, it's those little, like, you know,
what a commentary on the over-sexualized world we live in now.
Yeah, it's very good, and it also, having now been a movie that's 29 years old.
Oh, we're so old.
Like you said about them being like going from film to video. Now, if you think of going from movies in theater to movies on streaming, it's the same argument.
Like, how many iterations of this have we had, right? Because we went from film to tape to DVD to streaming. Yeah. And I mean, also the film industry now and all that sort of stuff. Speaking of, I'm just referencing all kinds of other podcasts. If you've ever watched the Amy Poehler Good Hang.
Yes.
So she just
so good.
She's hilarious. She just had Tom Holland on there. And she's like, I'm not going to compliment you much because you're British and I know you hate that. But proceeds to tell him that he's her Tom Cruise and she thinks he's saving movies. Yeah. Because he's a movie star. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess we don't have a lot of those anymore these days. Then they proceed to start taking the piss out of each other, which is hilarious. But, you know.
Yeah. This one's really, it's really, really deep. Even just watching it this time around with you.
For the 855th time.
Well, not quite that many. You mentioned about the music, how you can really chart, like, it's so period accurate, maybe even down to the month of when certain songs were popular.
I can see that, yeah.
Jesse's Girl was popular in 1983 when that scene is happening in.
I love that song.
It go like 99 Luftballons, which comes right after it on mixtape number 6 or 11, depending on how hopped up Rahad is on his meth or whatever he's doing. But like, you can go so close to that, and I can think of, like, when I hear "Spill the Wine" by Eric Burdon and War, I'm like, I think of the scene where they go swimming and it's underwater. Yeah. Like, it's so autobiographical for that. But the clothing and the hair and makeup.
Oh yeah, the costuming's incredible.
Yeah, like, if you just watch Amber and her hairstyles all the way through until the very end, like when she has the very almost mullet at the end. Yes. Like, it's just like, this is so culturally, like, accurate.
Yeah, no, it's very well done. Yeah. Even the sort of set deck is all very culturally time appropriate as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Good shit. I'm glad you enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie and tell you that I think it's my favorite movie you've ever recommended. Because it's not. It's good. Yeah. Would I watch it again? Probably, because I need to watch it and see all the other little bits I didn't see, which is also true of a PTA movie.
Yes, it's a very rewatchable movie, too.
I will say I'm not sure I'm PTA's hugest fan, just generally. But I did really enjoy this movie. He does really, like, there's some hallmarks of his work that I'm a fan of. Yeah. And for a woman who's watched a bunch of his movies. But, yeah, I don't, like... I'm not like a diehard, we must watch PTA everything, but also he makes a good movie.
He makes a good movie.
He cuts a fine suit. That's a line from The Holiday. Anyway, love that movie. It's good. I'm glad we watched it. I had a lot of thoughts. Yeah. Shocking.
And you know what? It's, even if you didn't like it, it would have been worth it to listen to Marky Mark purposefully sing badly, even though we know he can sing.
Yeah, that was my favorite. I was like, oh, of all of the things, this Wahlberg can absolutely sing, and here we are.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is really... There's a few movies that have done that, where it's like people that are clearly really talented. Like, even in this movie, watching all of these people that are very good actors, act like they're in a porn movie, really ham-fisted and like,
or even like John C. Reilly doing all of his magic as Reed.
Yeah.
Same.
He's
right?
He's Joe Bluth. Like,
yes. Joe.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
All right.
I'm glad you enjoyed.
Yes,
this was
too.
a fun one to watch together.
If you haven't watched it, we highly recommend. You probably should have done that before you listened to this whole thing. But go see
completely fair. Yeah. If you listen to the whole podcast and you don't like Boogie Nights, I don't know what to tell you.
I got questions. Sweet. Well, that concludes episode 22. Which is exciting because that means our next episode is 23.
23, and you mentioned Pride Month already. It's kind of a perfect one to end off June, which is when it's going to be scheduled to come out.
Yeah, because I can't believe you haven't seen Orlando.
With Tilda Swinton.
Another queen.
Second Tilda Swinton film of the pod.
Arguably the better of the two.
I mean, from what I've heard of Orlando,
I was going to say, I suspect you will feel the same, but I can't wait to hear what you think.
Yeah.
In the meantime, thanks everybody for listening. It's been awesome to have you around for 22 episodes and can't wait to see what continues to happen. As we mentioned at the end of all of this, you can follow us on socials. I can't believe you haven't seen. Our email, I can't believe you podcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow Matt's letterbox, it's Matty236.
Yep.
And you can also check out Matt's other podcast about physical media and why it fills our home. No, but physical media. It's at Cinema on a Shelf.
Yeah. I don't yet have as much physical media as Jack had in his warehouse, though.
Well, because we don't own a warehouse.
Yet.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.